Good morning. Hi. Hello. How are you? It's been a couple weeks since I've had you here in my sunroom. My name is Barb. This is my Flosstube channel. I talk about cross stitch, quilting, sometimes crochet, antiques, antiquing, life, food, dogs, grandkids. I talk about it all. So, you know what? Grab your cup of coffee. I have mine. Sit down, grab some stitching, keep me on in the background. Let's take a listen and let's start for today. How's that? So, again, welcome back. It's been a couple weeks and I've been busy. I can't say that I've got a lot of stitching done, but I've gotten a lot of other things done. So, today is Monday, April 21st. Happy Dingus Day if you celebrate. Happy Easter yesterday if you also celebrate. I am sporting my Easter gift from my husband. If you are in our area, which I'm just outside of Buffalo, New York, you know all about butter lambs, some of the Easter traditions, and my local Wegmans. Also, if you're in this area, or even there's quite a few Wegmans popping up all over the place. Sorry, distracted by a bird. They were carrying this t-shirt, and I said to my husband, I said, please don't buy me candy or cards. I love cards, but I said, if you're going to spend $5 or $6 on a card and X amount of dollars on lottery tickets, and don't even get me started on lottery tickets, I really don't care for them, but I do like to buy them to give them to my kids. So I said, listen, if you're going to do that, how about get me this really cute t-shirt? Because I want to wear it to retreat this weekend. And oh goodness, we're going to talk about that too. So this is my Buffalo. It's Buffalo Love is the company that makes the shirts. And they have all different kinds for like St. Patrick's Day, because that's pretty big around here too. Easter, Dingus Day. They do a lot of t-shirts for like the Buffalo Bills, and well, not for the Buffalo Bills, but with Buffalo Bill themed and stuff like that. So this is my butter lamb. This is my buffalo lamb. And I'm going to tell you right now, and I'll say it again, hopefully if I remember to, if you're going to retreat this weekend at Hobby House for Plum Street and Heartstrings Samplery, look for me. Look for this shirt. I will have this on Friday. Please, let's sit together at a table. So look for this shirt. It's the Buffalo Butter Lamb. I will have it on Friday. So let's get started. So yes, yesterday was Easter. I hope you all had a very happy day. If you celebrate, of course, and I always want to make sure I don't offend anybody with that. I had my sons, two of my sons live in town and two of my children are out of town. So obviously the two that were here for, I did a brunch. 5 of my grandchildren were here and I did a little Easter egg hunt. And as I was sitting here getting ready to film, I looked over and I said, somebody missed the egg in the lilac tree. I guess I'm going to go out and grab the egg. I had tried to get all the eggs hidden before the kids came over, and I did. And I've learned in the past to watch where I hide the eggs because, again, it happened this year. A squirrel got a hold of one. Now, I don't hide them the night before. I literally put them out not even an hour before the kids got here, right? And I told the kids, I said, you have 5 eggs. You can find 5 eggs, and then 1 has your name on it, so you'll get 6 eggs. I must have miscounted because I found a couple eggs, or I just tossed in extras. I don't know, but the squirrels got one of them. Got some M&Ms. So we did that. I had brunch. I had, what did I make? I did a ham. I did Polish and smoked sausage, Polish sausage, and fresh Polish sausage. I did little breakfast sausages for the kids with scrambled eggs. I made 3 types of pierogi. Well, I bought them. I didn't make them this year. Potato, cheese, and sauerkraut. So 3 types of pierogi, which is my favorite. I did cheesy potatoes. And note to self, if you go to put the cheesy potatoes in the crock pot, make sure you turn on the crock pot. I'm leaving it at that. Oh, I made a fruit salad. I made fresh whipped cream. I picked up some desserts at a bakery. I picked up some krustchiki. I had a cherry streusel, an almond ring. I made plotzek Saturday night, but I knew we weren't even going to touch it. So I made the plotzek, put it in the freezer, and there's nothing better than, mid-June, opening the freezer and finding a fresh loaf of plotzek. I didn't put raisins in my plotzek this year, primarily because I didn't want to take the time to plump up the raisins. And that's okay too. And of course I had candies, I had baskets for all the kids, small gifts for my sons, and, like a family kind of gift. Gosh, we had some mimosas. I had some mimosas. It's, I think, the first time I've had a drink since Thanksgiving, going through this whole cancer thing. But anyway, gosh, what else? What else did we have? My daughter-in-law brought me a loaf of sourdough bread that she has been making. She made some cheddar and jalapeno sourdough a couple weeks ago. Oh man, was that delicious. So I thought about making sourdough and doing that, and then I thought, she's making it. If I want some, I can just ask her for some. I'm telling you, though, she makes the best banana bread. Hands down. Anytime she wants to make me banana bread, I'm okay with that. So, so we had a lot going on yesterday, and here's the funny thing. It takes days to prep, right? You're shopping, you're cooking. Saturday, I started putting things together. Yesterday morning, I was up by 6:30 in the morning to get the ham into the crock pot, because I do my ham in a crock pot with cherry jelly, strawberry jelly. That's it, right? So getting all of that done. And then I had everything cooked and warming in the oven by 10:30 because the kids were coming at 11. And then I said, well, we can either sit down and eat first, or we can have the kids go outside and do their egg hunt. And what does that take? 10 minutes, right? So they were here at 11. Everybody was gone by 1. I said, Then the cleanup began. Washing all the pans. And I'm one of those cooks that I try to clean as I go. Like, I'm washing dishes. If I make something, I'm going to wash the dishes right away. And I just continue on like that. But I had all of the Corningware from what the food was in, and then just I let the kids, when they left, I said, take whatever you want, food wise, take whatever leftovers you want, fine with it, because I don't need it here. So I think one of the best things I like about cooking for my family is that I'm still able to cook for my family. Christmas is my number one favorite holiday. And I think that has a lot to do with the decorating and the spirit of Christmas and the giving of gifts. And that's very special to me. Easter's my second favorite because it reminds me of my childhood. And I don't know if I mentioned before, but my parents were divorced when I was really young. And I grew up a child of divorced parents in the 60s. And that was tough. It was tough because people shunned you, right? So I didn't get to go to my Nana's very often. And my Nana was, hands down, 100% Polish. But walking into her house on Easter, and I was able to, a couple times go, oh, it smelled so good. And I remember breaded pork chops and sweet and sour cabbage, which I did not make this year, and I was going to, but I didn't. Sweet and sour cabbage, and the pierogi, and the Polish sausage, and the plotzek, and all of the yummy goodness. And that's one thing that I totally enjoy doing, and that's cooking for my family. It's hard now, that the kids are grown and out on their own, and obviously you always hope that your children are when they are grown, that they are productive, contributing adults to society, right? And mine are. All 4 of mine are. And I'm very proud of that. But I miss I miss having them there every day, and I don't have an opportunity. I shouldn't say that. We all have an opportunity to speak with each other every day, especially in this day and age. There's texting, there's phone calls, there's video chatting, there's whatever, right? But I don't see my children every day, and I don't talk to them every day, and it's very heartbreaking for me. I had a day last week, Thursday. I took my granddaughter, my 11-year-old granddaughter, I took her to Broadway Market. And if you're from the area here, you know Broadway Market, right? It is a huge market, and it's a big Polish tradition. There's a lot of meat, stands for selling meat and Polish delicacies, things like that. So she's part Polish. Her stepdad is Polish. And I said to her, hey, or not her stepdad, her father is Polish. She's my son's stepdaughter. So I said to her, would you like to go to Broadway Market with me? And she's like, okay, I don't think I've ever been. Well, so it's on the east side of Buffalo, and that's actually where I grew up. So I took her to Broadway Market on Thursday, and we did the things, and then I took her to lunch, and it was so much fun. It was so much fun to open that tradition for her. Next year, I will ask her to go again. If she wants to go, that's great. If she doesn't, that's okay too. But at least I got to experience that with her once. And I go to Broadway Market pretty much every year. Unfortunately, when we had COVID and we couldn't really do Easter and you couldn't really shop anywhere, I didn't have Easter dinner. My son was living here at the time, so it was just myself, my husband, my son, my grandson, and that was it. So, but that's a whole time ago, right? What I'm getting at is I thoroughly enjoy cooking for my family, baking for my family, having my family here, having when the grandkids leave, walking here into the sunroom and going, oh my God, because there's toys all over, there's puzzle pieces all over. And, grunting to get down on my hands and knees to pick up those puzzle pieces. Did I put the puzzles back together? No. No, I did not. I put the pieces in a basket, and they can figure it out when they come back over. So, long story short, I hope you had a wonderful, magical Easter, again, if you celebrate, or you were able to spend some time with family for whatever reason these past couple weeks that I haven't seen you. Okay? So what else has gone on? My husband celebrated his birthday, and I found the perfect gift for him, golf lessons. Why is it perfect? It gets him out of the house. No, seriously, he really enjoys it, and I'm glad that he's always been a sports type person. He coached baseball. He was very active in hockey when his sons were younger. This is a second marriage for both of us, so it's like 2 lifetimes, right? So he was very he was very active in sports, always has been, and baseball, things like that. Excuse me one moment. So he's picked up golf the past couple of years, and he's really found enjoyment in that because he's going with his cousins, and they pretty much last summer went almost every weekend, and I'm fine with that, right? I don't need him here to hold my hand, but I did say to him, like a mom to a child, got to make sure you get your work done before you go play. So we were already talking about with spring coming up, and it's going to be time now to get the gardens going and stuff, and I know I have mentioned in previous videos how they were digging up my area here and moving the gas meters from inside of the house to the outside. So I still have a horrible mess because the company has not come back to do any of the seeding that they have to come and do. So my husband's a little ticked about that. I said, look, this is the perfect time. Get the rake out, flatten out the grass, toss down some grass seed. What difference is it going to make, right? I did have 2 of my trees pruned about a week ago. Some of the branches were extending way over the top of my house, and I had a fear that one was going to come down and take out my sewing room upstairs, or the other one from the other tree would have taken out the front of my sunroom here. So I've had that done. I have my plants growing in my little greenhouse over there. And if I could actually figure out how to insert pictures into something like this, I would show you. I would show you. What I would like to show you though, and listen, I'm going to apologize in advance because for some reason, I don't know why, I'm getting all kinds of glare on my glasses. So I'm going to try to keep them off when I can. But if I put them on and I have glare on my face, I'm sorry. Okay. So let me show you my Easter cactus. Now, I don't know if you're aware that there are 3 types of cactus. There is Thanksgiving cactus. And if you look at the leaves on a Thanksgiving cactus, they're a little bit more pointy. The Christmas cactus isn't as pointy. And if you look at the Easter cactus here, you'll see that they're rounded. Now she's going to bloom. She's going to be a couple days late. But this is my Easter cactus. And one way I remember it's my Easter cactus is that I stuck an Easter bunny in there. So she's going to be blooming probably by the end of the week. And I'm really excited for that because, you know, of course, with the flowers and everything. So I put her off to the side here. So, goodness. Oh, I think I dropped a leaf. Oh, that's okay. That was not. So anyway, if I could figure out how to insert pictures in this, which would mean I would have to edit, I would show you everything, my flowers, my plants in here, but take my word for it. They're pretty. Okay. So let me get started here. Holy cow. What have I been stitching on? Let me turn myself around here. What have I been doing? Well, I haven't done as much stitching, and the reason is that I really fell behind with all of my client orders. Now, I've mentioned before I am a long arm quilter. I have quilts to quilt for clients. I also make a lot of memory bears and memory stuffies and things like that. And those items are made from loved ones who've passed, from their clothes and things like that. So I had a lot of orders last fall when I took ill and was diagnosed with breast cancer and then surgery and treatment and everything else. And knock on wood, got a chair here. Everything is going beautifully, okay? But the mental fog, I would go down into my quilt studio and I would stand there and everything was so overwhelming. I didn't know where to start, right? So my clients were very, very accepting and said, look, just take your time to heal, and we completely understand. So I've been doing a lot of client work because I have a lot to catch up on, right? So that it's not that it hasn't left me much time for stitching, and I was doing a lot of stitching because that was the only thing that I could focus on, right? And I had done a little bit of crochet through that time too, but mostly I did a lot of stitching because to me, it was small. I could focus on a small area and it wasn't so overwhelming. So I have been doing a lot of client orders, and I don't have any. Maybe next time I film, I'll have some memory bears that I can actually show you what they look like, and some quilts. So as far as what I have been doing, as far as stitching, what I have been really trying to keep up on, I've shown this before. This is the Temperature Quaker. This is a PDF pattern that I purchased a couple of years ago by the Stitchin' Mommy on Etsy. And what I love about this is how the colors are changing. So it starts with January here, February, March, April is here. If you look at March, look at the vibrant colors. You can see where we've gone from the blues and the purples. Now January, the really cold days were the purples, like the 0 days, okay? So you can see in January things were pretty chilly. February, we had a couple of days where the temperature got up, but look at March. Look at how pretty that is. And April here, I know it's a little difficult to see the slight variations in the colors in the bluish greens over here and the whatever, like teals. But out of all of these, now I stitched up until Saturday. I think I got all the way up until the 18th. Out of 18 days, I only repeated a color once. So our temperature has fluctuated from, you know, the 40s, the 30s, up. We had a couple days in the 70s. And now what I'm doing with mine is I am just taking the high temperature. And there's so many different ways that you can do this. You can take the average temperature. Gosh, if you felt like it, you could do two and do a high and a low. I was doing, and I'm going to show that to you in my next, actually I'll show it to you right now. I had done a temperature galaxy, and it was probably for the year 2022, I want to say. And I got started on it, and I really enjoyed it. But then I lost interest because I kept looking at it saying, I don't really know where I'm going to display this. So I stopped. Now, what I did, because I literally was going to throw it out. And I'm like, oh, but I put some time into it. So this is what I did. I got to get my my ornament out of here. Remember I showed you my ornament? It's all my orts for 2025. So I turned it into a project bag. So if you look really closely, you can see where my cross stitching is. But then you can also see where I added decorative stitching in this area here, in the swirls. And I did that on my regular sewing machine, on my Bernina. Because, I mean, again, you can see where my cross stitching is. But it left a huge gap in this area. Whoops, I'm sorry. It left a huge gap in this area, and I needed to fill it. So I stitched on my machine, found a few decorative stitches because there's quite a few on the Bernina. And then in the center, I stitched my name. This little flower here is one of Lori Holt's crocheted flowers. She has a tutorial on that. Very easy to do. I did, in the beginning, I had some of her chunky thread, and I used that. And then I was able to find a J.P. Coates and Clark thread that kind of worked okay. But I'm going to tell you, I want to say it's a weight of 2. It's not as thin as a crochet thread that you would use for doilies, but it's not as thick as the cotton thread that you would use to make cotton washcloths. So her chunky thread is really, really nice. But to be very honest, I didn't want to invest so much in all of that thread when I knew I was just going to be doing smaller pieces. So I had found at the time, and I'm going back a couple years now at least, at Joann's, I want to say it was J.P. Coates and Clark, had a package of the cotton threads, and I got them a couple times and then I couldn't find them anymore. So yes, so I turned this into a project bag. I had this fabric, which I've made some project bags out of, and I have the zipper on here is one of the Lori Holt double end zippers. I have different types of zippers that I use, and this is actually the other piece that I've been working on, so I'm going to pull it out to show you that too, because it kind of falls in line. Well, it does fall in line with this week's retreat. So in my project bag, I used some Lori Holt fabric, the dots, and then some Kim Deal fabric here. And then in my project bags, what I do is I have, oh gosh, it's hard to see here. I have, because I have stuff in them, I have a pocket here that I stitched down the center. I put in a tab so I can hang my ring. Now, I don't put all of my floss on floss drops. I keep like the Gentle Arts and stuff like that, and Classic Colorworks. If it comes in on a floss drop, I keep it like that. But my DMC, I don't put on floss drops. I bobbinate mine. I have bobbinated my DMC since I started cross stitching 100 million years ago. So, but so that's what I did. And then did I quilt it? I didn't, because honestly, I didn't really have enough fabric left. So if you look down the center here, you can see the difference in the design. I had to piece the fabric to get it to fit, to make this project bag. And then I just kind of squared off the corners. Not that it can really stand up on its own, but so that's what I did with my Temperature Galaxy from a few years ago, because I knew I wasn't going to finish it. And this one was also the high temperature, and it was a really cool pattern. And obviously I still have the pattern because it was a PDF, and I don't remember who the designer was. If you are interested in something like this, I'm positive I bought it on Etsy, and all you would have to do is type in Temperature Galaxy. And she does a lot of really detailed patterns. So, so what's housed in this bag? Well, in honor of the Plum Street and Heartstrings Samplery Retreat that I'm going to on Thursday. Remember, if you're there on Friday, look for this shirt. Look for me, okay? Then I'll know you saw me on Flosstube. So I am doing Fairy Coffee Mother by Heartstrings Samplery. This is my start. Let me put my board behind it here, because it is on a... So pretty. We all need a fairy coffee mother. Fairy coffee godmother. Fairy godmother. Fairy coffee mother. That's what it's called. Now, I can tell you that I am using 28 count linen Ada Sunrise Sandcastle by Leo and Roxy. Very pretty. Has a very slight modeling to it. Very slight. So slight, in fact, that I can hardly see it. Maybe a little bit better on this side here. Let's pull this up and maybe we can see it just a smidge better. You can see some slight modeling in through here. Okay. Now, I have said in the past, I do not like to stitch in a hoop, but I do when the linen is really loose. And this is a little loose. So I am using a hoop, and I actually bought the hoops off of Amazon. They are not Nerge. I do have some Nerge hoops, but I'm just not a fan of hoops in general. I mean, they have their place. Everything has its place in cross stitch, and I'm fine with that, and it is very helpful. So I tried stitching on this the other day when my husband and I ran to the store. Not in the car, Barb. Not in the car. So, again, my little 2025 Ort ball. I saved my Orts. I put them in there. And I'm actually taking this to retreat this weekend. I have to make my list of what I'm taking. I am so looking forward to whatever they're going to be presenting us with. I'm so excited. So those are actually the only two cross-stitch pieces that I have really been focusing on lately. Again, because I've been doing more crochet. I would love to show you that heart afghan that I am crocheting for my granddaughter, but it is so bulky right now because it has so many balls of yarn hanging off of it. It is a corner-to-corner design, and I know I've shown it before, and it has hearts on it with a cloud. It's really cute, but it is one that I have to either sit at the dining room table and spread it out to work on it, or sit on a chair and just throw everything on my lap. It's really difficult to hold it up. But you know what? I'll show it to you when it's done. So I was stitching on that, or crocheting that, and then I was also making my table gifts, and I showed those to you before. I was making the little hanging decorative towels. So again, if you're there on Friday, find me, look for my shirt. We'll sit at a table together. I got a really cute little gift for you. So that's what I was doing as far as crocheting. Now, what did I buy? Well, I know in my last video I mentioned that I was going to show you some of the antique pieces that I've been rescuing. Excuse me, coffee break, of course. And I found a few of them. Not that I've lost them. I have them in various stages of what I want to do with them. And these are 3 that I'm still kind of trying to figure out where I'm going to go. So these, I believe, and of course, you know, we all do our little Google pick, our search on our, what is it called? Google image, right? So these were pretty much, where did I put my glasses? Hang on. I found them. Honest to gosh. I got for Christmas, I got a t-shirt that says, hang on, let me find my glasses. It's the best one. And you know what? I'm wearing that on Saturday. So again, if you're at retreat, look for me. So this one says, here let us live, life at its best. Here may we find comfort and rest. Now these I found, I believe I found them on eBay. And doing the little bit of research, if you look on here, it says number 100D, pure linen colonial sampler, 11.5 by 14 3/4, Vogue and Company. So I believe this was obviously a kit. Looking at the stitcher's back, you know, she's got a little bit of a rat's nest here in her house, but she did do a lot of carrying, especially down through the border, and also in her lettering here. Okay. These I know I could wash. And in all honesty, this one's got a like some bug holes in it, probably moth hole. I probably could wash this, but I'm not sure what I want to do with it yet. I don't know if I want to frame it. I just don't know. So I have that one. That's why it's sitting off to the side. This one that says, be it ever so humble, there is no place like home. Now, I truly wish that they were signed or dated or whatever. This one, I can see where some of the stitching is coming out. This is also a pure linen sampler. Number 3168, it looks like. It actually down at the bottom there, it's kind of like over stamped, so it's difficult to read. There's this one. So cute. There's some wearing away of the threads in that, and again there's some holes in the linen. And then there's this one. And unfortunately none of them are signed. Let me live in the house by the side of the road and be a friend to man. Now this one came mounted. So they all look, I mean, even the reds and the blues look very similar. This one, I didn't want to take the back off of it. You can see it there. It does have some damage on the back. So it was mounted to a decent piece here, but I'm going to safely say that they are all from that sampler company. Because if you look at, I'm just going to go side by side like this. If you look at the colors of the reds and the blues, they're very similar, if not the same. So these are 3 pieces that I have. And maybe because of the delicate nature of them, I mean, this particular one really feels like it's starting to wear. And if I were to put it somewhere that, you know, would be handled like a pillow, it would just break down. So those are a few that I have, and I do have more, because I can't go antiquing and pass by something like this. Now, a week ago from yesterday, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in my last Flosstube, I took my family, my sons, the 2 sons in town, and my 5 grandchildren on the Arcade Attica Easter train ride. Now, if you're from our area, the Arcade Attica train is one of those old-fashioned trains, right, with the old-fashioned cars, and they do a lot of tours running between Arcade and Attica, and it's a lot of fun. If you are in our area, look up Arcade Attica train. You'll find the website. You'll see all of the different train rides that they do. I'm already planning on taking everybody for the Christmas train ride. So it was a lot of fun. Okay, the train comes to the depot and you get off, and they had Easter egg hunt for the kids, and they had candy, and they had hot dogs and all this other stuff. Then you get back on the train, you go back into Arcade. So it was a lot of fun, and it was the first time that 4 of my grandkids were on that train. I've taken my oldest grandson Primo on there now a few times. So we had a lot of fun. And I had said to my husband, hey, when we get off the train, the antique store is still going to be open. So after we got off the train, because we took the 11 o'clock train, and we were done by like 2:30. So I waddled over to the antique store, and her store, and it's in Arcade, and darn it if I didn't bring her card name in here to tell you what it was. But she's right there on Main Street in Arcade, and oh my gosh, everything is so cohesive in that store. But what she actually has is a bunch of vendors. It's one of those types of antique shops that, you know, you rent a little bit of a space. And I was halfway through that store before I realized that that's what that was. Everything was just so nicely done. And she really does have rules about what you can bring into the shop to sell. Nothing like buying a box of stuff off of an online shopping site and bringing it in to sell. Everything has to be antique or handmade. So I was just loading stuff up. I brought in a few of the things that I bought. Okay. A few. So I spotted this, and I thought, wouldn't this be great for some smalls, or to hold napkins, or flowers, right? This would even be a really good tin for plants. The problem is there's no drainage holes in it, so it would almost have to be a plant that would have, that you would have, you know, be able to take in and out. But this I grabbed. Loved it. Okay. And I know there's some things that I did not bring in here to show because I just didn't. I found this. I don't think I took the price tag off of this, or maybe she did. No, oh, she did. She cut it off. If I paid, oh, here comes the rain again. It is pouring here today. It's going back and forth between pouring and overcast and everything else. if I spent $10 on this, maybe 13, where's my board? 1 second. Might be a little bit easier for you to see it if I put it back up on my board here. I couldn't pass it by because we all know how much time this would have taken. So it is a table runner. And you can see it here. Trying to do this in the easiest possible way, and clearly there isn't one. Let me pull this up and see. I'm trying to figure out what kind of cloth this is. It looks to be an even weave, but look at this. Oh my gosh, how horrible does that look? Hang on a second. Let me try to figure this out. Jeez Louise. I am on the struggle bus today. Definitely on the struggle bus. And I apologize. But that's me. Yeah, whatever, right? I'm okay with that. Look at this. This is stunning. The colors are so bright. This border goes all the way around. I would like to believe that there is, I mean, even look at the back. Let me show you the back here. Look at that stitching. Very little is carried. I looked at this and I thought, in all honesty, I'm telling you, I don't think it costs more than $10 or $13. And just knowing the amount of work that went into this. I wish she wouldn't have cut off the tag, but I'm just going to take the little safety pin off of there. Ooh, goodness sakes. This is definitely April showers. Look at the design of the birds and the vividness of that red thread. Now, I did not investigate to see if they did use 6 strands. I'm going to say they did, and that's what's making it look nice and thick. But even if you look at, here, we'll do this again this way. If you look at the edging, you can see that the edging has been turned down and hand stitched. And that goes, whoops, all the way around. Here, I'll show you this end. Look at there. So, again, this is not something that, if I saw a pattern for this, I would not have purchased it to stitch it. But I cannot get over the vividness of the colors that were used in this piece. And I haven't washed it yet, and honestly, it's not even dirty. I don't see any staining on it. So part of me is just like, how about not? How about we do not do that? Now, I keep looking at this cloth, and I don't know what it is. It does not look like a Lugana. It is not an Ada. Can you see it there? Oh, sorry. That changed the brightness of the... Can you see it? So if you have an idea of what type of cloth this is, and it's heavy. It is a heavy cloth. I know that I will use this piece. I'm just trying to figure out where I want to put it. I will probably pop it onto my hutch in the dining room. But I was just so taken aback, excuse me, by the vividness of the colors and the beautiful condition that this piece was in. I had to bring it home. I had to honor the individual that stitched this. I don't want to assume it was a woman, but I would say more than likely. So if you've ever seen anything like this particular design with these birds going around the edge, please let me know. I would love to know where this might have come from. Gosh, it's so pretty. So that was one piece that I rescued. Another piece, well, another thing that I purchased for myself, Once Upon a Quilt. Now this book talks about, and it's actually a retired library book from the arcade library, but it talks about quilters and history and the designs of some of the quilts. Look at this. Oh my gosh. This makes me just want to sit there and stitch, whether I'm quilting or stitching, with a nice warm cup of coffee. Oh, I could see myself sitting there by the hearth, stitching bees. Just, oh, look at this. What a pretty, pretty picture. I truly believe I was born in the wrong era. So I bought that book for myself, and I will probably take it with me. Who am I kidding? I'm not going to sit and read a book at retreat. Silly me. Silly, silly me. I will be sitting down in the lobby with my slippers on and my cup of coffee. So again, if you're going to retreat, look for me, right? I would love to sit with you. So what else did I rescue? It's behind me. I have to move myself out of the way here. Move my pieces over here. Maybe get these things. Let me turn. I rescued a quilt. I know you're shocked, right? You're shocked. Okay. So this is a courthouse step design. I'll throw it over my shoulder. And the funny thing about this quilt top, and it is just a top, let me pull out and show you the backing here. It was stitched down on foundation fabric. So what the maker did, now a courthouse step is very similar to a log cabin, but for a courthouse step, which you take is your center block here. Oops, let me find one that I can show you a little better. She's not in the camera. Okay, can you see that? You can see that. Okay. So you take the center block, and then what you do is you build on either side. Here, then here, then here, then here. So you turn the block this way and this way. This way and this way. And it builds the steps. Now, a log cabin, you start with a smaller center, which generally represents the hearth of the home, the fireplace, and you go around. You build around. So stitch, turn, stitch, turn, stitch, stitch, stitch. So it goes around. And when you're looking at a log cabin, typically one side is dark and the other side is light. But you can do it whatever way you want, right? You're the boss of your own quilt, says Lori Holt. So this lady, when she stitched this quilt, she used a foundation piece of fabric and she stitched onto the block. So she's got, there isn't a backing to this quilt, but if you look, I'm going to see if I can get it a little closer for you. You can see that she stitched her blocks onto a base piece of fabric. So it's basically like foundation piecing. Now, this is not cotton. This is a very lightweight twill. So that leads me to believe, and it's not that old of a quilt, but it leads me to believe that this might have been something she was just learning how to do. Because in looking at her seam lines in that, and looking at her corners, or where things meet, like right here, you can see that there's a bubble of fabric. Right here, you can see that the fabric is actually pieced so that she had enough to make that particular strip. She also, and this also could be just the fading of the fabric. Here's another piece that's been pieced to make a piece of fabric, if that makes sense to you. So I saw this, and honestly, I spread it out on the floor, and this is a good, I would say this is a good twin size quilt, right? And I looked at it, and there's damage on it, and fading, and it's not all in that great of shape. But it was $35. And I know how much time goes into making a quilt. Not just for the fabrics, but just the time alone. And there's way more worth to this quilt top than $35. So I brought her home. What I'm going to do with her, and she's mostly in pastels. So, you know, it reminds me of just, oh, here's a good spot where you can see where the fading is right here in the fabric. So it could have just been sitting in the light or whatever. Any damage that's on this quilt top, I'm not too concerned with. There are some smaller holes. Like here's some holes right here. Not that it's really noticeable, but it could have been a 4-H project, right? It could have been a young girl starting out having to make a quilt for 4-H. So I brought her home, and she's going to get a bath. She's going to go in. I use what's called Retro Clean. And it is a decent, you know, a soap that is recommended for quilting or quilts, antique quilts. And normally what you do is you soak, you sit the words are hard. You take a bin, fill it with water, warm water, to cool, not hot, because you don't know what the fabrics are going to do. And you put the soap in, you put the quilt in, and you sit it in the sun. You let it sit outside and soak, right? And then, you know, you change your water. You can do this for a few days, depending on the quilt. Personally, I will use Retro Clean, but she's going in my washer. I'm fine with it. I've looked this quilt over. I have looked at the stitching on the back. As I said, she has used a foundation fabric to stitch her pieces on. I can put this, I can soak, you know, just set a soak cycle on the washer, do a gentle spin, and see how she comes out. But I'm not going to do it until I can get her to hang outside. So she's going to get washed, and I am going to quilt her. Now, I don't know what type of a quilt pattern I'm going to use, and I will probably use a very lightweight batting, because if I put her on the long arm, there's a lot of seams here, and I might just do like a Baptist fan, but I have to be cautious because of the seams and the bulkiness of the seams. I certainly wouldn't want to throw the timing off on my long arm, because I would cry. Big time, right? So after her bath, I will figure out what I'm going to do for backing. Put in some very lightweight batting. She's not going to need much because, again, she is not a quilting cotton. She's more of a very lightweight twill. So it's going to be a little bit heavier to begin with, and I'm okay with that. I'm very okay with that. So she's going to be worked on. So she'll have a place in the sun soon. What else did I buy? Well, now, let me check. When I go to Hobby House this week, did I mention I'm going to retreat? When I go to Hobby House, I will be picking up my market orders. They are sitting there waiting for me patiently. I know David and Kathy have them put aside. So I'm really excited because honestly, I forgot everything I bought. I do want to sit down and make a list just to make sure I have everything. But I am looking forward to the cookbook. I did buy the market cookbook this year. I didn't get it last year, and I'm really upset with myself that I didn't. So I'm looking forward to that because in the homespun needlework group that Julie Casavi runs, and listen, if you go to Facebook and you join the homespun needlework group, there are questions that you have to answer in order to be accepted into the group. And Julie did point that out, that Flosstubers are encouraging stitchers to go and join the group, but they're not answering the questions. So it's the Homespun Needlework group on Facebook. It is run by Julie Casavi. If you go to join, please answer the questions so that you can be admitted into the group. It is also the group that has periodically certain, oh my God, words today. Patterns and things that are offered only to the group. There's a word. I don't know. It's gone somewhere, right? So those releases that are only allowed for the group are done within that group. Okay. So I know that there should be one coming up. There's also right now a spring swap that's going to be happening. I believe this Wednesday is when it closes, and then we'll find out, you know, who our partner is, so to speak, who we are stitching for. And honestly, I'm really hoping that there is something cute in the new cookbook to stitch up. If not, I have a piece that my second best that I would like to stitch for the individual that I will be paired with. So I have my market stuff that I'll be picking up, and I am sure that I will be making some purchases this weekend, and I'll show you all that. That's probably going to be one whole video. And I got this, and I got this, and I got this. So, but these are some of the other things that I did purchase. Let me just pull this out here because I have everything sitting on the chair. So I did say that I purchased some hoops. And I did get them off of Amazon. They're not Nerd hoops because, again, I am not a hoop stitcher. But when I need hoops, I need hoops. So I am okay with a knockoff type of hoop because I don't use them that often. I just like to have them. So this came in, you know, like the 3, 4, 5 different sizes, some squares, some ovals. It wasn't relatively expensive, but I did need some additional hoops just to have for the linen. And I do know that there are a few other pieces that I do want to start. And again, I have my market releases that I purchased linen for. I also, from Primrose Cottage, can't remember if I showed this the last time. I think I alluded to the fact that I purchased it. It's called the Stitcher's Trio by Primrose Cottage. And what I did, I have the booklet, which their patterns are really nice to follow. I did watch the girls again this week, or last week I should say, and one of the things that Lindsay speaks of is making sure that, oh, and I did buy their new release, the stitching rules, so that's going to be coming. What they do make sure they have on each page is the key. right? The color key. And she did mention that with the stitching rules that each page will have the color key. And by that I mean, I'm going to flip this over. I don't want to show you the... So under every design, or by every design, you have the floss key, so that you don't have to constantly flip back and forth through the book to see what, you know, what color you should be stitching. So this Stitcher's Trio has the Home Sweet Home, or Home Stitch Home. And what I like about that is the scissors coming out of the chimney. Thought that was really cute. And then the bobbins for the plant stands. So I have this, and then normally I don't do this, but I did with this, is I bought the finishing kit. And for some reason, I think I might have showed this to you already, but if I did, I'm sorry. If I didn't, it's here. So I did buy the stitching, or the finishing kit, and I generally don't. But because, trust me, I have plenty of fabric. I really don't need to do that. I did get the light ash gray, and I did get the sticker. Now, as I said, I did purchase the their new release, and that is the stitching rules. Actually, it was released on Thursday. And I was driving in the car with my granddaughter to go to Broadway Market. And I said, oh my God, I got to make this, because it was 9 o'clock our time, right? So as soon as we pulled into the parking ramp at Broadway Market, I'm like, I got to order it, because I knew it was going to sell out. So Lindsay did indicate that if you do, or you did purchase the stitching rules, you will need a full fat quarter to stitch the stitching rules. If you are going to stitch any additional pieces, you're going to need more fabric. So I ended up buying a half yard piece, whatever it was. But I do like the light ash gray, and I know that they stitch a lot of their stuff on that. Oh, and I also bought the floss pack, because I believe it's color and cotton thread, and that's not something I have. And I'm sure I could mix it up. And if I do stitch additional pieces, I probably will. I'm not going to worry too much about that. The other piece that I did purchase, this was from 123 Stitch, because I was enabled by somebody. I don't remember who. Might have been Carol Saltbox. My Dear Hearts by Blackbird Designs. I have been looking for something to stitch to honor my grandmothers, my Nana and my grandmother, maternal and paternal. My Nana was my paternal grandmother. My Gram was my maternal. And I looked at this, and I recognized that the way this was done was the hearts represent, I'm going to guess, Barb's children, maybe. Let's see, it says, what does it say? Each of Barb's grand nieces and nephews' initials are stitched into the sampler. Now she has a permanent record of the next generation of her family. So grandnieces and nephews. I don't have siblings, so I don't have nieces and nephews for me to carry on, right? My ex-husband had siblings with nieces and nephews. Actually, just 2, I believe. No, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe. I'm not even sure anymore. But I don't have any I don't have siblings, so I don't have biological nieces and nephews. My current husband, again, I know I've said this is a second marriage for us. There are 6 children in his family, and then each of his siblings has children. So there's plenty of nieces and nephews to go around, and grandnieces and nephews. So I looked at this piece, and I thought I would like to do my Nana and my grandmother. And then, the more I think of it, do I want to add my Nana's children, like it would be my dad and my Uncle Tim, my Aunt Bernie, my Aunt Pat, and my Aunt Marie. Now, out of all of my dad's family, my Aunt Bernie is the only one still alive. My mother's, all of my mother, well, my mother and her siblings have all passed. I don't want to get into grandchildren because it's just, my mother's side, she had 5 siblings, so there were 6 on my mother's side, and everybody had children. I'm the only, my mother only had me, okay? But her siblings had multiples, 3, 4, 6, right? So there's a lot of grandchildren on my mother's side. And then on my dad's side, there were, let me see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, something like that. So, but what I would like to do is definitely do something for my grandmothers. And then I thought maybe my mother, myself, and my daughter. I don't know. It's definitely going to be my grandmother's. And then I'm going to kind of go from there. But I really, really, really love this design. And I know once I start stitching it, it'll come to me, right? Do you do the same? Do you start stitching, and then as you're stitching, you're thinking about the people that you're stitching the design for, and it comes to you, right? It comes to you what you want to do. So I'm going to be stitching it on 36 count Edinburgh linen. Let me take it out of the package. Ooh, did that tickle your ears? I'm sorry. So I have the called for threads, and I have Edinburgh linen here, and let me grab my board. We'll see what this is going to look like, because I think it's going to be very pretty. It is a little darker than what I would normally stitch, but again, with these called for, and this is weeks. Thank you for sitting here with me today, having the patience. I hope you are stitching and enjoying your stitch. But I've missed you, and that's why I really don't want to rush through today. And it is honestly the only day that I will be able to film. But I can tell you that I will be doing some filming from Hobby House. I definitely won't be doing long things, but as soon as I see Brenda and Laura, I will be fangirling. I left them a comment on their Flosstube yesterday. So, but here's the colors. Isn't that going to be beautiful? Can I hold it up without it falling? Sort of. Isn't that going to be beautiful? So I know that when I start stitching on this, I will be thinking of my grandmothers. My Nana, 100% Polish. Her name was Adeline, and she was a phenomenal cook. Phenomenal, right? I know. I mean, I vaguely remember my babcia, which would have been my great-grandmother. I vaguely remember babcia, who did not speak English. Okay. And I remember her in the kitchen as well. So, I do want to honor my Nana. And because, of course, it's, you know, from her that I do have my love of cooking and my love of Polish foods. And then my grandmother, who lived with us, as again, you know, my mom was a single mother back in the 60s, and it was difficult, very difficult. So my grandmother and step-grandfather did move in with us, and financially, I think it was a move that both of, you know, my mother and grandmother needed. So my grandmother was there and raised me because my mother worked. So, you know, I would come home, I would walk home from school for lunch, and my grandmother would have soup on the table for me. And it's not until they're gone, or you yourself are a grandmother or a mom, that you really stop and think of the impact that these women had on your family. And I'm going to say women because it was primarily women in my family. My parents were divorced. My grandmother was actually divorced and remarried. My Nana was divorced. And it was a very difficult time in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s growing up, parents or children of divorce. And we did the best we could. And it's kind of funny because when I took my granddaughter Raina over to Broadway Market, which I used to be able to walk to by myself on the east side of Buffalo back in the day, listen to me, to think of the struggles that we went through, but we didn't realize they were struggles because that was just the norm for us. Going to a farmer's market at the time, it was called Clinton Bailey Market, and buying a case of lettuce, a 50-pound bag of potatoes, right? My snacks, when I would come home from school, I moved to South Buffalo when I was in high school. So coming home from high school and having a snack was taking a head of lettuce and chopping it into quarters and making dressing with ketchup and mayonnaise. No, ketchup and salad dressing. Or peeling potatoes and having potatoes as a snack. It was tough, but you didn't know it was tough. You just thought that this is what we do, right? My grandmother, my mother's mother, that lived with us, she was a decent cook. She could bake, man. That woman could bake, right? She's the one that I got my Danish recipe from. I have my grandmother's cookbook. I have my great-grandmother's cookbook that was actually a gift from my grandmother to my great-grandmother. I love old cookbooks. I love to sit and read old cookbooks. So my grandmother was also very impactful in my life, obviously, because she was there. She helped raise me. And moving into now, looking at my grandchildren, and yes, I babysit my grandchildren 2 to 3 days a week. 2 right now, will be 3. I have an impact on their life. My 5-year-old grandson likes to come over here to my house to make cookies and to sew. Oh gosh, if I could show you the video of my grandson, 5 years old, sitting at my featherweight, sewing by himself. Was my heart like this? Yes, it was. He wants to do these things with me. I am just so beyond pleased and excited to be a part of their lives. Having my 11-year-old granddaughter, and I don't want to call her a step granddaughter because she is part of my family, right? But she's a bonus to me. And it's not in a negative way. Having her want to go shopping with me to do this and thanking me for taking her along. It's the best. It's the best. So to have one little piece that I can turn around and honor these women in my life who have helped me become a grandmother, to realize it's not a burden. What is the word? The gift of being a grandmother. I hope one day that I will have the gift of being a great grandmother. I hope and pray that I will be here because my Nana, my grandmother, my mother, my aunts, my mother's sisters, my father's only one. My Aunt Pat never had children. My Aunt Marie passed. My Aunt Marie was a great grandmother. all of the women in my family, save for my Aunt Pat, because she never had children, they were great-grandmothers. And I want that title. I'm selfish. I want that. I want to be a great-grandmother. And I was frightened, to say the least, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, that I wasn't going to have that opportunity. And I cried. I did. I said, I want to be a great-grandmother. My oldest grandson's only 12, so I don't want to push it, right? So I hope that I have that for myself, because to honor these women who instilled in me what a grandmother is, and then what a great-grandmother can be, is so very important to me. That's why this piece is going to mean a lot to me. Definitely will have Adeline and Naomi. My grandmother was Naomi. Actually, I named my long arm after my grandmother, and one of my featherweights after my Nana. So I will have this, and I will think of these women when I stitch this, and I know that I will incorporate in one way, shape, or form my Nana, my grandmother, my mother, my daughter, and myself in this piece. Okay, so that's all my sentiment. Let me just take a peek at my list here to see. Oh, I didn't talk to you about who I watched. I'll go over that really quickly, because I know I've probably really taken up a lot of your time. Oh, God, my glasses. There we go. I have taken up well over an hour of your time. So, who did I watch? Oh, obviously, Sarah from Sarah's Stitchy Spot. Oh, I just always look forward to sitting and listening to Sarah. I watched Brenda and Laura last night, again, because I'm so excited to see them. I believe Brenda's coming in on Wednesday. Laura, I believe, is Thursday. And Laura's mom's coming too. I don't know. Nancy's going to be there too. So I definitely will be like, oh my God. I'll be taking pictures and sending them to my stitchy friend Cindy and saying, look who's here. I did watch Primrose. I watched Coriander Quilts on Saturday. Oh gosh, Justine, Welcome Stitchery. Oh, I love those ladies, Justine and Shelley. I get such a kick out of listening to them. They did have a short video, but it was still fun to listen to them. Stitching by the Shore I watched. Oh, hey, do you like baseball? Have you heard of the Savanah Bananas? The Savanah Bananas are to baseball as what the Harlem Globetrotters are to basketball. So I'm not going to get into it, but if you are interested, pull up Savanah Bananas. They actually show their games live on YouTube. They have gone from playing in minor league. They were here last year at the Buffalo Bisons, and I did not win tickets to it because it was a lottery. My daughter-in-law, though, did. Now they only play in major league ballparks. You've got to check out the Savanah Bananas if you like baseball. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. And I did start watching last night. Brenda and Laura suggested Stitch Bead, and I did start watching her last night, but I was just way too exhausted to even continue. So I've got her to finish today. So I think that's it. I'm looking around me here. My friends, thank you for being here. Oh, Esther, cat's meowing about something. I thank you for being here. I am up to 77 subscribers. I'm so excited, right? Wait till I hit 100. I'll be doing a dance and be offering some gifts when I hit 100 subscribers. So please tell your friends, right? Hit the like button, subscribe. If you are going to the Plum Street Heartstrings Samplery Retreat, hosted by House Needleworks, this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, at the Woodcliff Hotel Resort Spa in Pittsford, Rochester area, please come and find me. I am wearing this shirt on Friday. I'm putting it in the wash tonight so I can wash it tomorrow. so it'll be ready. But I will be wearing my Buffalo Lamb Butter Lamb t-shirt on Friday, and I will be bopping around, so please look for me. I will be arriving Thursday, and I am staying at the Woodcliff, so I am going to be in on Thursday afternoon. I believe check-in time is 4 o'clock, but I want to head over to Hobby House and pick up my orders, do some shopping. If you are going to the retreat, you should be in the Plum Street group that David and Kathy set up for us on Facebook. I know I've chatted with a few people. I know there's a couple of women from my area. There's somebody in Grand Island. There's somebody down in Eden. I don't know if they watch me here, but I do know that there are going to be a couple people from my area there. But if you're coming in from out of town and you're coming by yourself, because there are quite a few ladies that are coming and gentlemen that are coming by themselves, I would be more than happy to be a table mate. There are going to be 10 people at a table. I do have my table mate gifts. I do have to go and get a couple other things. I am also, and this is just me, I don't know, I know the last retreat I went to, I brought some things that I'm not going to use, like some patterns and stuff like that, and I'll have that at my table. I don't know if they're going to have a swap table. I don't know. Like for people bringing things that, one of the things that I didn't show you that I got at the antique store was 2 bags of like bias binding and stuff like that. So I kept some of the stuff, and the other stuff I'm going to bring and put on the free table. If there is a free table, I don't know. If there isn't, then there's going to be a free table at my table because I'm going to bring stuff. So I will definitely be wearing this shirt on Friday. Saturday, more than likely, I'm going to be wearing a t-shirt that says, it's red, right? It says, hold on. Let me get my glasses. All right, so I'll have a red t-shirt on Saturday, and then I am sure that by Sunday we will make friends and we'll be sitting together. So Thursday night, I don't know if they're going to have the room open for us on Thursday night, but I will be in the lobby area of the Woodcliff, more than likely wearing slippers and having a coffee cup with me, and stitching. So remember this face. Come up, say hello. If this is going to be your first retreat, everybody is always so friendly and welcoming. You will make lots of new friends. Bring, if you're using your book of days, bring that so we can all sign our name. If you're using any other type of stitchy book, bring it. What else would I suggest? Maybe bring a light. Some people need an extra light at the table. I am going to bring my light and magnifier. I don't know. The last time I went to a Hobby House retreat, the tables were round. So I do have like a small magnifying lamp that'll sit on the table. Bring a placemat. I have a little quilted placemat that I have made, and it just kind of marks your spot at the table. So bring that. Bring a little Ort basket or your Ort ornament, your little stitchy scissors, your little doodads, whatever. Be comfortable. Dress comfortably. David posted that there's going to be a band there Friday night, I think. So bring some comfortable shoes and comfortable clothes. They've also posted in the Facebook group that they've been, there's a lot, I believe there's also going to be an itinerary that they're going to email to us, but there's a lot of local places to dine. I do know that the Woodcliff is going to be supplying us with a couple of meals, but there's also other places to go. There's antique shops around the area. There's, of course, Hobby House. You have to go to Hobby House if you're going to Hobby House, right? There's Wegmans. I know that I'm going to be heading on over to Wegmans just to pick up a few things because the very first Wegmans was in Rochester, and it's still open, and it still is the design of the old store. So I'm going to head over there. But you know what, friends? If you have ever been to a retreat or you haven't, it is one of the best times, and I am so looking forward to sitting and stitching for 4 days straight. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm looking forward to the new patterns that will be given to us by the designers, whatever we're going to be working on. Bring a couple of projects to work on, but don't bring anything that's really fussy because you're going to be talking too much, right? I know I'm going to be bringing my little, my Heartstrings Samplery, but I'm probably going to look around for a couple of other little small things. But there's just always so much fun things going on that you might have to bring your rip it because you might be making mistakes if you're going to bring something that requires a lot of counting. I'm going to caution you against that. Okay, so I think that's going to be it. I'm super excited. I know this is a long video. I hope you stuck around with me for this whole time. I do appreciate that. I missed talking to you the past couple weeks, and I can say that I will be popping up short videos this weekend during the retreat. Man, if I only knew how to edit and add pictures. But you know what? That's for another day. I have stitching to do. So you get me as I am. This is me, the raw me, right? Okay, my friends. Thank you again for hanging out with me. I see sunshine starting to come out here. I'm a little excited for that. I've got some work to do downstairs. I'm actually testing a quilt pattern for 2 quilt patterns for a new designer. So I've got to go get a little bit of stuff done there. I have client work to do, and I have to work tonight. So my friends, thank you. Thank you for being here. I am so happy that I have 77 of you following along on my crazy journey. So I appreciate you all. I hope your stitching is magnificent. I hope I get to see you at retreat this weekend. Feel free to leave comments for me. I will include my email address. That is my business email address. And if you do hunt for me on the Book of Faces, look for She Sews and Quilts. If you hunt for me on the Instagram, She Sews and Quilts. I do have some TikToks up. I haven't been doing that too much. I've been sticking to YouTube, but I'm there. I'm around. So please feel free to email, send me a hi, how are you here? And I will get back to you, I promise. Thank you, friends. And I will see you at the retreat. Oh, I'm so excited. Bye, everybody.